Yeah, Eugene, it probably is the groundhog. Good morning, everyone. And you're right, Jason. Yeah, I do think it is going to be quite the pattern flip, or at least active weather that it's a little unusual of a setup compared to what we had with the last one. It was in January. I'll explain coming up in just a few moments. Hello, everyone. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Snow Talk on this, is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday, right? It is Wednesday. Wednesday, the last day of the month. January took a long time to get through. Anyone else notice that? Type 2 if you agree. Type 2 if you agree. I do think it is one of the longer months, it feels like, of the year. And February, of course, is a leap year this year. So we get an extra day in February. So taking a little bit of a time to get into the late winter season. That's fine. That's fine. The more days, the better. For snow lovers, anyway. A lot to talk about into the warming trend. That's some good news for those that don't like the snow or the cold and want warm weather. All right, we're going to talk about that briefly. And then I'll get into the longer term as that data continues to evolve, but at least want to keep you guys in the loop while we got a quiet weather period to kind of explain what we're looking at in the longer term and see how things progress down the road. All right, a lot of twos. Thank you, Connie and Kim and Jeremy. I see all your comments there. Appreciate it. All right, let's get into the SnowTALK board, which has nothing still. Not quite there yet. Next week, I may be able to start adding items in for whatever change we may see down the road, but there's certainly nothing to talk about between now and then. So there you go. Nice and quiet. Snowboard is still on a sabbatical. You get the cloudy sky. That's lovely. Clouds looking from the top of the water slide at Kentucky Kingdom in downtown Louisville there. Okay, cloud cover has been a bit interesting today. So I'll get that in a second. Temperature real quick, 40 outside, a lot of 30s. We're not going to move much unless we get sun breaks. And at the moment, there are some out there. It's interesting because we have different layers of the stratus that are kind of stacked on top of each other, and one actually creates a shadow of the other. So these lines you see across Kentucky, especially here off to the east, are actually shadows from some of the layers up above that. This is no doubt clear skies. So for those of you west, on the western side there of Du Bois County, do have a blue sky overhead. And we're seeing hints. That is also a patch of clearing near Cordon. And in Louisville, there is a little patch showing up. We'll see. I do think it'll be that way. It will see basically little tears, if you will, into the cloud cover, and we'll end up with a few rays of sun, then the clouds will back over, then back to a little bit of sun. That is going to be the trend today. So not exactly full on partly sunny setup, but will we get at least partly cloudy officially at the airport to reset our clock on the stretch of cloudy hours? It's possible today. It's possible today. The main clearing will begin to work its way in from the west. That'll happen for tonight. And then after we do that, we cloud back up again tomorrow afternoon. So we just can't stay sunny long enough. But as long as we get just enough to make for a pretty setup, we'll take it. All right, let's get you into Futurecast showing how that sky does erode away tonight. Of course, much of that happens once we get into sunset. Go figures. Chilly tonight with that, by the way. And some of the high-res data was trying to show fog that forms tomorrow morning. I don't think that's a worry. I think it's going to be just a brief period of clouds along some of the riverbanks, but nothing major. I do think Thursday will have a good chance to start off strong on the sunny side of things. However, we do have a backdoor front that is dropping down into the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. As that happens, we're going to see cloud cover and moisture respond to that and begin to develop from Missouri over to Hazard, Kentucky, that line, which will put a stripe of clouds right across us. Now, I will say the cloud deck, when it increases tomorrow, should be a mid to high level deck of clouds, not a very low overcast. So still be a bright day, just not bright with blue sky. And temperatures overall will hold relatively steady. We can get in the 50s. As we get into Friday, there is moisture showing up along that boundary. Right now, we're not seeing a lot of data indicating that the raindrops would make it to the ground level. So we'll keep a small chance in, but the majority of that will dry up before it has a chance to reach the ground. So Friday looks to be an overcast day. The temperature's not too shabby, still remaining into the 50s. Saturday is the day I'm watching and hoping that we were going to get a really nice setup for not only sunshine, but 60s. But here's the problem. With this dip happening across the east, we're getting a nice little easterly flow that's coming into Ohio Valley. Yesterday, it looked a little more southeast into the area that may try to get more of a south punch. So I was betting on the idea we could get at that with sunshine to get us to about 60 or even a touch higher. as being very hopeful. However, today there's a lot of strong argument that the wind is going to be more east, even some data say northeast, before it has a chance to turn around. Well, I still think Saturday is going to be sunny. Don't get me wrong. But we're going to have to shave off some of the degrees there because you can't really get a very warm scenario, even with full sun around here with an east-northeast wind. It just isn't going to happen. So if the pattern of the wind changes as we get closer, then maybe we can bring those numbers back up. But we've got right now the wind directions playing the cards on this. I do think still Saturday, even if it's in the 50s and sunny, will create some spring fever for the area. I got a feeling that'll still happen. Here comes our storm, though. Most people will be talking about, they won't be talking about our sunshine. They'll be talking about this low movement to the Rockies and how it's taking this very odd track into the Carolinas and becoming a coastal system, if not a coastal storm, potentially, as we head into next week. Let me, can't seem to clear off all my stuff there. Sorry about that. There we go. All right. As we head into Sunday, we do increase the clouds, but it looks like this low is going to pivot down and try to bring in the cloud deck, but in the rain, but it just doesn't really get all the way here. The new Euro says it probably won't even get to Nashville. GFS and Canadian take that rain chance all the way to Louisville on Sunday. So we'll keep the chance in until we get that settled. The storm's not fully on shore yet, so there's still some wiggling here to work with. But no doubt, if you're traveling south, you have a higher chance to run into this bad boy. You head north, you're going to avoid it. So Kentucky is basically Switzerland right now on that idea. So we'll watch it and see. But if it continues to build more south and curl up, then that means we'll be completely dry. But we will get some clouds from it for sure. Once we get into Monday, we clear back up, and then we reverse into a south flow for next week. It's kind of a return. It comes in from the Gulf, wraps around, and comes in from the southwest in that direction. So that's a warming setup, and that will allow us to get into the 50s, gradually increasing each and every day. And we'll have some beautiful days mixed in with that. Now, as we get further into the week, into the following weekend, we will cloud back up again, but this time staying warm. Our first system is going to be moving across the Midwest into the Great Lakes. It will drag a front that will sag closer to us as we head into next weekend and about the 12th of February. So 10th through the 12th, a front will get laid out across portions of the Ohio Valley. This front riding through there will likely increase the rain, showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. I don't see anything severe with that. It doesn't have all the ingredients, as it is a very what we call a positively tilted system. So it only has the clouds and the showery kind of look to it. Now, what is interesting about that is that it lays down the front, remember? So that becomes the train tracks, if you will, for the next low pressure that will be forming here in the Rockies to track along near Valentine's Day. And that may be the system that causes the, at least is the identifier to lead us into the pattern flip. Yes, I know, another system near Valentine's Day. I don't know if it's going to be all rain or snow or rain to snow. I don't know. I have no idea. But a wave of energy coming through. Yeah, the data supports that, and it's supporting the dates of February 13th through the 15th in that range. So we will throw, of course, Valentine's in the middle of that. Valentine's Day around here always is interesting, to be honest. So we'll see what happens. Let me show you some of the data here. We'll kind of go into a weather nerd mode. You guys love when I do that. Here is the GFS for that southern wave on Sunday. You see, not all of them have it. Some of them go way north, to be honest with you. Majority of them, though, are pretty far south of its journey on its ensemble. So that's the reason why the more south idea makes more sense. As far as snowfall goes, again, not paying attention to amounts on this. This is the GFS ensemble. You look how quiet it is. There's just nothing as far as even the possibility on the ensembles happening for a while. But you get into around Valentine's Day, and now we start to get some numbers. Don't pay attention to the numbers, just the noise. The more noise, the more we start to have more confidence in a wintry type of setup down the road. Right now, it's just a bit of noise, but it's near Valentine's Day. So that would signal, again, maybe that system that moves through. This was interesting. This is, I'm not sure why the dates did not copy over there. Sorry about that. But this is a look at the upper air part of the globe as we're looking at the North Pole. Here is Kentucky right here, right on this bottom part of your screen. That's Kentucky on both of them. This is February the 9th, and the one on the right is actually, what was the date? All right, forgot. I think it's February 17th, I believe, or 20th, something like that, near the 20th. of that week. I can't remember what I wrote down. I apologize. But it is, I would say, about 10 days later from this February 9th. You can see that we end up, here's the high that's up here now. Hold on. Here's the high over Siberia. Very, very cold Arctic air, polar vortex, cold air type of setup, right? Well, that high moves to where we are able to get it into the Gulf of Mexico area and Western Canada. And you can see what happens to the polar vortex. It gets stretched, and look where it aims, right into the eastern United States. Now, keep in mind, this is different than what we had in mid-January. We had a polar vortex displacement. The entire core of that bubble that you see on the left actually rotated into the central United States and gave us, wind chills of 15 below zero. Some parts of the country up to about 45 to 60 below zero wind chills in the northern plains. That was the core of it, the piece of it, displacement that came down. This is different. This is a stretching of the polar vortex. So we do get colder, usually in the eastern United States, when we see a polar vortex stretch. However, how the storm track evolves is a little more complex. It can be a dry pattern. It can be indeed. Not as dry as really, in my opinion, as the polar vortex sitting on you and you're cold and dry and all the systems go down to Florida and give them snow. This is a little different to where I do think you can get some phase systems that can develop in the southern United States, but it's just too early to get into that talk. We've got to figure out this right panel is going to be right or not. Looking at the winds aloft or into the higher latitudes, indeed, this is a GFS and Canadian. There's multiple actual ensembles here, but you can certainly see the wind on the trend is to lower it or relax it on that stronger east flow as we head into about the 15th of February. And the temperature profile also begins to go up, a sign too that the polar vortex is at least something's happening in that area of the world. So I don't have any change here, guys, to what the long range is signaling. We still look like we're going to have a flip of into colder, but as I said before, I just don't see it being to the level of what we had in mid-January. I don't. But it only needs to be cold enough to snow, and I think that's what's going to get winter back in the topics and make it a little more exciting. The MJO, which is Madden-Julian Oscillation, this is basically just tropical activity around the Indian Ocean that drifts over to parts of the Pacific and has an influence certainly in the Pacific and on our weather at times. And it's hard to read this. I totally understand this thing can give you a headache. If you read the numbers, though, in each little quadrant, this is forecast to linger a bit in phase 7. Pay attention to the main lines that are either blue or red in fuchsia. And it drifts over here into quadrant 8 in February, and then weekends. Quadrant 7 and 8. Well, 7 right now translates, as you see the square. Whoops, I'm drawing on the wrong screen. This is quadrant 7. We're entering in now with warmer weather in the eastern part of the United States. All right, that matches up great. And then we get to phase 8. It shows the eastern United States getting colder. Almost lines up identical with the drop of the polar vortex stretching into the eastern United States. So a lot of backward cold fronts, that type of setup will likely come into play. So, and this does tend to be a little more delayed than what the models probably do show. So I think the last 10 days is fair to say of February and perhaps even into early March. That looks to be the trend. Any questions on this? Travis, winter is far from over. It could. Yeah, it's definitely far from over. I do think we have some more interesting weather setups coming our way. But again, this is a different approach than what we had earlier, to be clear. So that's why the weather pattern will be a little different on how we get these storm systems and how we get rain and or snow to come through. So we got some challenges ahead of us. I'm excited about that. Renee, I hope winter lingers. Less work I have to do outside. That's true. I don't want any more brutal cold without snow, though, because I have so many bulbs in the ground and perennials. You gardeners out there know, got to get that snow on the ground. If you're going to get cold, get the snow on the ground and keep them a little warm and toasty so you don't damage them. That December event, 2022, damaged so much because it froze so fast before the snow was able to get on top of the ground there. Okay, I think everyone's good. Would you say, Travis, snow up here, rain south? Sorry, Louisville. Travis is northern Indiana, and he's rubbing it on you guys there. All right, hang in there, snow lovers. Hey, we got some warm days coming our way, right? It's not all bad news. Enjoy the sun teases today. enjoy the sun about this time tomorrow. And I still think Saturday is going to be a pretty day. Just, again, not as warm as it could have been, but still 55 or so for a high on Saturday with sunshine. Hey, I'll take it. Have a good rest of your Wednesday, guys. I'll see you coming up at midday.